In the mid-19th century, Japan stood on the edge of a changing world. For more than 2 centuries, the Tokugawa shoguns had kept the country sealed from the outside, allowing only limited contact with a few foreign traders. The people lived under strict feudal rules, proud yet isolated. But the winds of change arrived one summer morning in 1853, when Commodore Matthew Perry of the United States sailed into Edo Bay with black ships of smoke and steel. His cannons were not fired in battle. They were messages of power. Japan had to open its doors or face destruction. The moment shook the nation. Some feared the loss of their traditions. Others saw opportunity. Within years, the old shogunate collapsed, and in 1868, a new dawn rose. The Meiji Restoration. The young Emperor Meiji, barely 15, became the symbol of a Japan that refused to be conquered, a nation determined to modernize on its own terms. Under his reign, Japan transformed faster than anyone could imagine. Samurai sheathed their swords for good. Railways and telegraphs spread like veins across the land, and schools taught science, engineering, and languages from the West. The slogan, Fukoku Kyohei, enrich the country, strengthen the army, became the heartbeat of a new Japan. Factories hummed, shipyards thundered, and soldiers drilled in modern uniforms. Western dress and architecture filled the cities, but deep within, the Japanese spirit remained unbroken, disciplined, proud, and united. The emperor's portrait hung in every classroom, reminding students that Japan's destiny was to rise among the great powers of the world. By the 1890s, Japan had become an industrial powerhouse, its navy rivaling those of Europe. But power demanded proof. When tension rose with China over influence in Korea, Japan acted. The First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895, was a stunning victory. For the first time in centuries, an Asian nation had defeated a great continental power using modern warfare. The world watched in astonishment as Japan claimed Taiwan and expanded its influence over Korea and Manchuria. The victory was not just military, it was psychological. Japan had broken free from the old image of submission. Now, it stood shoulder to shoulder with the empires of the West. But Japan's ambition did not stop there. When the Russo-Japanese War erupted in 1904, the empire once again defied expectations. The battles at Port Arthur and Tsushima showed the discipline and innovation of Japan's military might. The world was shocked when the Russian fleet was destroyed by Japanese naval tactics, the first time in modern history that an Asian nation defeated a European power. Japan's triumph echoed across Asia as a symbol of hope and pride for colonized nations. By 1910, Japan annexed Korea, establishing itself as the rising empire of the East. The islands of the Pacific and trade routes of Asia were now within reach. In World War I, Japan joined the Allies and captured German colonies in the Pacific, further extending its reach. The sun, symbol of Japan, seemed to shine ever brighter. Yet, the growing empire faced challenges within. Industrial growth brought wealth but also inequality. The spirit of modernization sometimes clashed with old traditions. The emperors after Meiji struggled to balance honor with ambition, pride with peace. By the 1930s, Japan's hunger for resources led it deeper into continental Asia. The invasion of Manchuria, 1931, and later conflicts in China, 1937, turned expansion into aggression. Factories shifted from producing tools to weapons, and the once bright dream of progress darkened into the shadow of militarism. Still, the discipline and unity that built Japan never vanished. The people, loyal and resilient, endured the storm. Cities grew modern and beautiful, filled with electric lights, theaters, and bustling markets. Behind the modernization stood a sense of destiny, that Japan must lead Asia into a new age, even as the world grew wary of its power. The Pacific War, 1941 to 1945, would change everything. The empire that had once risen with brilliance faced its greatest trial. From the glory of Pearl Harbor to the tragedy of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan's journey came full circle, from isolation to power and then to ashes. But even in defeat, the Japanese spirit endured. Under Emperor Hirohito, Japan rebuilt itself not as a conqueror, but as a nation of peace and progress. Factories once used for war began to produce cars, cameras, and technology that transformed the world. The post-war rebirth was a second Meiji Restoration, quieter, but just as revolutionary. Today, the story of the Japanese Empire stands as a lesson in ambition, innovation, and resilience. From the courage of the samurai to the genius of engineers, from the rise of Meiji to the rebuilding after war, Japan's history is a journey of transformation unlike any other. The empire that once sought power through conquest now leads the world through creativity and peace. The sun that once rose over battlefields now rises over skyscrapers, art, and technology, shining brighter than ever.